everybody, and welcome back to the Edge radio broadcast. On our Newsmaker line, we have with us this evening Sherry Schreiner. Sherry, good evening.
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
All right. Welcome to the Edge radio broadcast.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I had a pre-log there. I don't know if you was listening on the internet there, but I had a pre-log of some things we will be discussing with you this evening. Sherry, you may not know that our last guest last week had reams of abduction information, but he never could tie it together. I don't disparage him for that. But after 35 years, he even said that we still don't know what they want. Do you think you might be able to answer that question this evening?
Yeah, I think the Bible answers it, and all the answers are right there. If the government would search the Bible instead of forming committees, we'd have a lot more answers today than the same ones we've had 50 years ago, and then we have to keep signing treaties with these aliens.
Whoa, we're signing treaties with the aliens?
Yes, they're signing. All kinds of treaties with the aliens, and we're going to get into that tonight. The alien abduction is one thing that Christians ask me about all the time, because there are Christians who have experienced the same thing. And if they go to church and say, well, I was abducted by aliens, people aren't going to come out and say this is not normal. They're afraid they're going to be mocked and ridiculed and made fun of.
Well, certainly.
And the churches don't address it. The churches aren't going to touch it with 10-foot pole.
No, not at all.
And so they come to me. and I just go to the Lord. And it took me a while seeking the Lord to find out why is it Christians can be abducted. We know everybody else does. We know that there's so many abductions that when you keep hearing the same story thousands of times, official denial doesn't work anymore.
No.
They tried to do it with the UFOs, and it just doesn't work because so many people see them.
They're not all crazy, are they?
And no, UFOs, once you know what to look for, you can go outside. My son went outside one night last week, counted 15.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. So official denial doesn't work.
Well, let me start with the basic question. Can you be saved and still be abducted?
Yes.
You can.
Okay, let me tell you why.
All right.
Okay. Because, it's obviously something that's happening. A lot more people are being abducted in their sleep. It's this phenomenon that's been happening a lot more lately, and it's going to increase in the future than, being abducted, standing in the yard, and being whisked off by a UFO. That's pretty much more unusual than just being taken out of your sleep, being abducted out of your sleep, and then having dreams you can't explain, having memories you can't explain. You haven't been anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't know how they could have gotten you because it took you out of your sleep. And what's happening is if Christians go to sleep with unconfessed sin, you leave an entranceway and a doorway for Satan to attack you.
Well, now that's interesting.
And we all know that if you're in sin, Satan can attack you. Well, he can also abduct you.
Because Satan works on a permission basis.
Yes, and we're giving him permission by having sin in our lives because sin is a darkness. And when you have darkness in your life, it attracts darkness.
Well, wow, that's some pretty interesting stuff there. I tried to, one of our earlier guests a few months ago, I asked him if dreams were simply a chemical reaction, how do you explain dreams that have compositions of information of things you've never seen ever?
Well, dreams can be manipulated. Okay, and I'm not just talking about regular silly dreams where you just want to wake up because they're so stupid.
Yeah. Had that one.
Yeah, we've plenty of times you just want to wake up because your dream's so stupid. You're dreaming about something else.
Okay.
But what can happen is the government has black technology, alien technology, and it's called dreamscape manipulation.
Yep.
And what they can do is implant thoughts into your mind and actually implant dreams into your mind. So when you wake up, you don't know if you had a real experience because you know it was too real to be a dream. But you don't know if it's real or if it was a plant, because they can plant these dreams in your dreams.
Do you think they can cause a number of people to vote a certain way?
Sure. They've got elf technology. You see these towers all over the place. They call them cell phone towers.
Yeah.
And, if you look at the regular cell phone towers, they don't need these configurations that they've been putting on them about 3/4 down, and they look like a heartbeat. They're in a Z shape all the way around it.
Okay.
And they even have different types of cell towers that aren't even as tall as, they don't even try to say they're cell towers. They're like antennas or something. But they're in various different shapes and forms. You can go to my website, tearingdownstrongholds.com. I have all kinds of towers sitting there.
Yeah.
And they use these towers for elf technology to to manipulate the mind, mind control, brainwashing of people. They subliminal message you all day long.
Do they use the television to do that as well?
Do they do what?
Do they use the television to do that as well?
They do. What is it, the every 30th frame or something? I don't watch much television anymore because I'm so disgusted with it.
Good for you.
But there's some kind of framing that they use, like every 33rd frame or something, where they put subliminal messages in. Yeah, if they can't, if they can't manipulate the ballot box or get a government to, put in whoever they want now, they just...
Well, that could explain why Bill Clinton was elected twice.
Well, it's all played behind the scenes. Nothing's about shock. I mean, they all have it well scripted.
Yeah.
The only one's shocked to the American people.
So are you saying that there is possibly an Illuminati conspiracy?
Oh, definitely. Right now it's a fight between the two factions. I mean, each faction wants their own person up there.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's all going to come down. The Illuminati, if this is true, I have a feeling it's planted disinfo. But the Illuminati supposedly chose several months ago that John Edwards would be the president.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are they going to do with John Kerry? Kill him off? And then so John Edwards can be the president? Because he just came in as the vice president. Why didn't they choose him before they chose Kerry?
Yeah, it is odd how he swung right in there. Something went right in their master plan.
John Kerry and George Bush are third cousins.
Well, one of our guests was pointing out the fact, I guess, and I'm sure you know, that I guess they were both members of the Skull and Bones at Yale University.
Yeah, well, John Kerry initiated George Bush in, according to Sherman Skolnick. I had him on my radio show a couple weeks back. And when you're in Skull and Bones, you have to be initiated in by a former member. When they leave, they initiate someone to take their place. And John Kerry initiated George Bush Jr.
Well, what do they talk about in that super secret Skull and Bones?
Well, it's some kind of they get into the coffin and I'm going to try to they do. I don't know how much
Plot their evil deeds.
Yeah, evil deeds.
Yeah, I see.
Yes, and allegedly, according to Sherman Skolnick, John Kerry and George Bush had a homosexual act in one of these coffins. It's part of the thing.
Whoa.
It's part of the initiation.
Okay.
And we're not talking about Christian men here. That's the problem with the churches.
Well, now, the church is convinced that George Bush is a saved, born-again Baptist preacher.
That's because he quoted Scripture. And you know what? Hitler did the same thing. And the Antichrist is going to do the same thing. How much are they willing to fall for? 4 years ago, when the Lord raised me up to be a watchman and warn these people about George Bush, I was kicked off of every Christian list on the Internet.
Yeah?
They wouldn't listen. Well, there was no way George Bush was a Satanist and in Skull and Bones, and then Time Magazine and CNN came out with the info.
Yeah. Well, so did Tim Russert. He asked, I don't know how far you went, but I researched that on Tim Russert. I don't know, Meet the Press, one of those, asked both of those guys, what about the Skull and Bones? And George Bush responded in the middle of his interview, which was earlier this year, and said that he's not allowed to say. And Tim Russert responded, well, the Internet's going to buzz on that one. And he says, yes, I haven't seen the websites. Now, when he asked John Kerry, he said to John Kerry, I understand if I say the word Skull and Bones, you're supposed to walk off the set. And he jestingly replied, so you're trying to get rid of me, Tim? So they need both of them kind of poo-pooed the darker side of that.
Christians are always forgiven for their sins when they seek forgiveness. We've all done dumb things. We've all fallen away and came back crawling. There's no repentance, no recantation on George Bush's part for taking an oath of Lucifer to join Skull and Bones. So how can a Christian still say he's loyal to God when he took a loyalty oath to Lucifer and has never recanted of it?
Well, it's so much easier to believe in a George Bush type who's just kind of a friendly guy, but you're saying there may be something more sinister at work here.
Oh, and people, it's not even under the rug anymore. The funniest thing they do is just call their info out there right where you can see it because they know no one's going to believe it. Look how many Christians still believe we have a Republican right-wing party.
The Republicans want to do what the Democrats do. They just want to do it for a profit.
Well, the thing is, it's all an illusion. Because when you're in Skull and Bones and you're in Trilateral Commission and you're in the Council of Foreign Relations and you can't be a president unless you're in them, there's no parties in these organizations because they're all working the Brotherhood. They're all working the same Luciferian agenda. Democrats and Republicans is an illusion for the public to buy. They don't buy it.
And a lot of people have bought into that, though.
Yeah, and they still do.
Yeah.
And when they start to learn little by little, and until the whole country gets a hold of it, the Antichrist is going to be here before they realize they've been suckered.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Sherry, why don't we just drop back a little bit and tell us how you got this, how did you say you were called by God. What were you doing when you were called, and how did you respond?
Well, see, the thing is, years ago, about, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was just so frustrated with churches, the lying, the hypocrisy, the errors. And so I just left the church and I started praying and asking the Lord, teach me the truth in all things. And I started praying that daily. And he started showing to me the errors and deceptions in the churches today. And I couldn't handle it. I just, I flipped. And I was just so shocked and just so appalled and so disgusted that for about 2 years, I just walked away from everything. I just became a recluse. Just wanted to be left alone. And, I just started falling away from the Lord at that point. And, when I finally got to about the lowest point you can get, I just said, Lord, lift me up and use me. I know I'm mad. I'm sorry. I asked you for the truth. You gave it to me, and then I got mad and threw a temper tantrum. And from that point on,